Hello students, today we'll be covering the topic Statistical Description of Data. Now this is part of your CPT course, section D, Quantitative Aptitude Chapter 10, and I am CA Praveshagi, your mentor for this lesson. Now this topic is very important from the real life because there are a lot of applications in economics, in business management, and commerce and industry which use this knowledge, and from examination point of view, roughly on an average 2 marks questions come from this topic. Okay, so we start with the question number 1, which is a very basic question. Explain the difference between discrete variable and continuous variable, and we have to give some examples to explain the difference between the two. Now as we understand, variable is basically a property which can assume any value. Now, the variables can be of two types. One is a qualitative variable, another is a quantitative variable. Now, a qualitative variable, an example would be a gender, which can be either a man or a woman. Or we can say a marital status of a person. He can be married, he can be single, he can be divorcee, like this. So it's a variable. So this is a qualitative variable. But when we talk about quantitative variable, now these variables we can add, we can subtract, we can multiply, we can do additions, so which brings a logical result when we do all these operations. Now we will be focusing more on quantitative variables, as we have been asked to distinguish between what is the difference between discrete variable and a continuous variable. Now when a variable assumes a finite value, it is called a discrete variable. A discrete variable is a variable whose value is obtained by counting, and the number could be anything between 0 and infinity. Now if we draw a diagram like this, it will have a diagram will be like this. So it is not continuous, there will be a lot of gaps in between, like number of students. So it can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3, number of students present in a class, or number of red marbles in a jar. So examples of a discrete variable would be like this. It is not a continuous one, so there will be gaps. So number of some for example, number of heads when flipping 3 coins, number of petals in a flower. So all these are examples of a discrete variable, and the graph would come out like this, and there will be gaps in between. Now we move on to understand what is a continuous variable. So now it can assume any value from a given interval. So if we again draw a graph like this, so we will get a value like this. So it is a continuous one. There's no gaps, like height of student in a class. So it can be 5 feet, it can be 5 feet 1 inch, it can be 5 feet 2 inch, or like this. Or weights of student in a class. So it can be 50 kilos, it can be 50 kilos, 1 gram, 2 grams. So there will be no gaps, and it will be like a data will be plotted like this. If a variable can take on any value between two specified values, it is called a continuous, like this. It can be a continuous variable. Otherwise, it's called a discrete, like I explained the example. So it will be like this. So data are coming with gaps. So this is a discrete variable, and this is a continuous one. This is an example of a continuous variable. So, so that's the difference between the discrete and a continuous variable.